The capacity of your business is your leadership capacity. That's it. If your business is stuck, it's not the economy, it's not your lead generation system, it's not your sales, it's not anything you're saying, it's your leadership. Grow as a leader and your company grows every single time.
Welcome to Marketing by Design, where you and I learned from our favorite founders and marketers on how they built their success and told their stories by design. I am your host, Andy Milligan. Let's get started.
Part of the way I was, born, just I probably have undiagnosed ADHD. Uh, but I've never been one to just settle for something. And what I think really fed it was for 15 years, I ran a summer camp. And every summer, everything was new. And so I didn't realize until I left camp how unsettled of a spirit I have. I am a starter. Um, I'm a person of faith, and so I've taken several spiritual gifts inventories. My number one spiritual gift is always apostleship, which is, somebody that goes in and starts something and sets leaders up and then leaves.
Mhm.
And I realized that that's what I did for 15 years running the camp. We left camp. I got into a local church for 2 years, left that, planted a church, set up new leaders there, left that. And so that's just been it's just, for me, it's just, I can't imagine doing it any other way.
hmm Yeah. What was kind of the first thing that you went full in? Did you ever have a full-time job?
Uh, you mean, so yeah, s- when I was younger, the camp was a full-time job.
Mhm.
And I did that for 15 years. I worked in a hospital before that as a physical therapy aide. Um, I owned a restaurant. After that, I sold perfume and cologne. Um,
Hmm.
door to door. I've done lots
Mhm.
of different things. But then when I became a camp director, all of those little jobs and little things I had helped me run the camp better. I had the experience in the hospital, so it helped me lead the health center. I had the experience with the restaurant, so it helped me lead the food service team. I had, yeah, the only college I ever successfully completed was I got a certification for a activities director for a skilled nursing home. Um,
Hmm.
Totally random. But that helped me lead the programming side of camp better, and so then at camp I mean, I loved camp. My favorite 2 weeks of camp though was staff training. Um,
Hmm.
Leadership is my favorite. Out besides, helping people really understand who Jesus is and get past all the misconceptions and the garbage that's out there. Leadership is my number one favorite topic.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I think it works its way into everything you're doing now. I mean, um, as I kind of grow in the entrepreneurship side and trying to take more of that lens on just everything that I spend my time on, um, I never grew up thinking of myself as a leader. I was a bit more probably on the insecure side. I had a hearing loss disability, and I had like big cochlear implant hearing aids. And I never saw like entrepreneurship even being in the picture. And like even from a lot of people that I've gotten to learn from and talk to, even some of the highest performers who like I see them from the outside as like crushing it. They seem like they have multiple businesses. They seem like they're really enjoying their days, and it looks like they're very successful. A lot of times they can even be some on the inside. They can be some of the most insecure people. Um, I think it's a trait along. I mean, I think it's things that people are that drive them to exceptional performance that they're trying to overcome some of those things in themselves. Um, when you talk about what are you spending your time on the most now? Like, what has you excited to get out of bed in the morning and build? Because I think that's a big part of what you do is you have a vision for things and you kind of execute them and share tasks and delegate and put a vision in front of that others can execute. So, what are you uniquely excited about now? The website is live. Now is when the real work starts. While it's never been easier to build a website, the same is also true that it's never been harder to make a website actually work hard for you. The moment your website launches is the best opportunity that you have to make it effective and drive marketing qualified leads month after month after month. Over the past several years, we've worked so hard to put together a strategy that lets us not just see who these people are, but specifically track what actions they're taking on your website and give you those insights on a silver platter. What we find hilarious is that as marketers, we're so diligent on showing up every single day, always posting to social, making ourselves as visible as possible. And yet, our most visible and high converting, trust gaining asset sitting at the bottom of that funnel is maintained the least. Having a good website is the foundation for all of this opportunity. And if you're not investing marketing efforts into it month after month, your most profitable asset is being lazy. If spending time in the weeds, looking through data, and connecting these insights to the rest of your marketing is not your jam, if your website is being lazy, let's have a conversation.
So yeah, we
Tell
have
me
a
about that.
90-day accelerator called the Profitable Team Accelerator. And in it, I take a cohort of people through hiring their next 1 to 4 people in a way that guarantees they're going to increase profit and because they've increased revenue. Uh, what so I when we started traveling full time, people would ask, uh, how did how do you do this? How do you do this? Well, it's
Mhm,
our lead gen strategy, I thought. We honed, remote lead generation. Um, and then I would, started teaching people that and they would start getting results. And then it would be so I don't know, like, well, you need to hire help. And then that's where, the things would just fall apart for them. And so
mhm,
I thought, okay, well, it's more then it must be our business systems. I've really honed in our systems that lets me go, you know, 10 days in the Amazon jungle completely off grid, and go on this epic adventure with my wife and kids, or spend 3 days traveling from, one side of the world to the other, or, you know, um, taking time and going to the bottom of South America, and biking through the Patagonia region of Bariloche. Just we've had
mhm,
been able to have these amazing epic experiences, and I thought it's because of our business systems, and there are 5 core systems every business has to have in place, and once you have those really in place, every time you make those better, your business grows. And so I started teaching that, and people
mhm,
started having success, and then I like, "Well, you need to hire people." And then everything would fall apart for them.
mm,
And I didn't realize until last year, I had this aha moment where I realized not everybody is comfortable hiring. In fact, most people aren't comfortable hiring. Um, when I ran the summer camp, I had 15 individual opportunities to recruit a team, onboard that team, delegate to them, develop them, and then adjourn the experience. And then I got to spend the fall going, okay, what worked? What didn't work? And I got to reinvent myself as a leader. I got to try different staff training techniques. And then I would, different ways to recruit. And so then I would recruit, I'd onboard, I'd delegate, I'd develop. And I did this 15 times. And I didn't realize, I didn't dawn on me that that was such a unique experience that most people don't have. That now, honestly, the idea of I just assumed everybody was comfortable hiring. It's like, it's like anything. Like there's things that now are just so easy for you designing a website or building a web that you would just like you would think any web designer would know this. And then you start having a conversation, you're like, oh, I just thought this was something everybody, knew
mhm,
because you take it for granted. And so that was the
yeah,
same thing. So then I started teaching people and I'm really pumped about it. And it's so much fun. It's the difference maker for people because it doesn't matter your lead. Like you get to do lead gen whatever way works best for you and your business systems and your business model, but it's your team makes all the difference in the world.
mhm, yeah.
And so and then sorry to interrupt, but then
No, you're
what
good.
really excites me about it is the multiplication effect. If I help you as a business owner become a really good leader, Yes, I'm helping your life be better. And then through you, I'm helping you make the life of the people you've hired better. You're
Mhm,
providing employment, you're developing them as better as people. You're because help you be intentional with your company culture and, just all these things. And so so that's what I'm most excited about. I love
mhm.
teaching leadership.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, and I'm at the very genesis of this myself. A lot of the listeners are marketers, some of them freelance, fractional, even in-house. But the idea of delegation is one of those things where it's like, I don't know if you listen to Alex Hormozy at all. I do
Mhm.
some, but if I do too much, then I know I'm on the wrong track. But he has some really good ideas. One of the things he said is the delegation and expanding the business is like it's essentially like a mile wide and an inch deep. um, so when you first take a step into it, it looks like this huge mass of just confusion, twice done work, having to communicate, learn, take the scars. But when you start doing it, you really start to see just how easier it makes your life. Like it totally opens your eyes up to what's possible beyond yourself. And now, like I've adopted the mindset personally where it's like the first time, Eric, like I handed off a design to a developer and they brought it to life perfectly. I was like, this is amazing. Like I didn't have to do anything. And that first moment, that like buy-in is, I feel like people just have to experience that. And then they're like, yes, like I want to do this as much as I can. Um, but when it comes to you personally, like you've been through this process so many times of putting a team together, finding good fit people who are uniquely suited to execute. How do you assess talent? Like, what should people be looking out for, whether it's their first hire or they're looking for to fill a very specific role? What can they be on the lookout for? What can they do on their end to like really communicate the vision for the role, the position, the need really well?
Yeah, there are 4 things, we measure, every candidate on. Some of them are easier than others, but the 4 things, the first one is character. I can't train an adult to be an honest person. I can't train them to have integrity, and so the character is the most important. I would rather be understaffed than wrong staffed, and so we really evaluate heavily for character. After character, the next thing we look for is chemistry. Is this somebody I want to talk to on a regular basis?
Mhm,
How are they going to impact other people on the team? How are they going to gel with the people in their department? Is this somebody that's looking for a job or looking to be part of something? That chemistry is really really important to us.
mhm,
And then after that, we look for competency. And in competency, while for some roles there is a base level of experience and knowledge we need them to have coming into it, for competency, we're really measuring their ability to learn, to problem solve, to admit when they don't know something. Humility is so important. Um, and then the fourth one is calling. A lot of people don't look for this, but calling is important to me. I want people on our team that they feel like this is what they're on earth for. If
mhm,
they're doing paid ads just because they learned how to do it and it's an easy, way now that, they make money and they've, cleaned out a space for them and stuff like that. And they're doing it because it's something they found that they can do to make them money. That's really great, and I'm so excited for them to work for somebody else. Um, but if they're like, "Oh my gosh, no, when I put together the right mix and the creative and the landing page, and you start to see the conversions happening, and I know that that business owner is gonna have less stress, they're gonna have more, uh, margin, then that's why I like doing ads. I love the results.
mhm,
I love that's calling, and that's something we look for. So those are the 4 things, and the reason those 4 are important to us is because our vision as a company isn't like our agency, yeah, we're a web design and digital marketing agency, but our vision is to help our clients increase their margins so that they have more to give to organizations and missionaries that are working to eliminate human suffering around the world. That's why we do what we do. Um,
Mm,
I'm just not in it to help your business grow. So we talk to our clients. We try to model to our clients generosity. We'll share opportunities and stories with our clients about how another client's team all volunteered a day and did this, or they did a fundraising as a company and they did this, or a certain percentage of their profits goes to this organization. Because I have found that those stories inspire our business owners to leverage their margin to do the same, but they need that margin, and we, as a marketing agency, we know how to make that happen. And so
mhm,
that's why we exist as a marketing agency. Now, that's why we exist as a business. So that's our vision. The vision is the picture of where your company is going. The mission is the vehicle you're driving to get there. So I could
mm,
accomplish all of that with a small business. I could accomplish all of that just through coaching. I could accomplish that as a financial planner. There's lots of ways I could help a business owner accomplish our vision, but our model right now is digital marketing. That's the mission. So we provide excellent, relevant, digital marketing services to accomplish that. Uh,
mhm,
so in life, you need to marry your vision, date your mission, date the model. And then under the mission is our core values. And our core values are something I train our team on and develop our team with weekly. I mean, I regularly am teaching core values and reinforcing values because that creates our culture. And what the core values teaches your team how to behave and make decisions when you're not in the room. And so you really have to have those mission, vision, core values, all of that put together. And now you're out there doing this. And when you get to the point where you're that dialed in, and it doesn't take long and it's not complex, it doesn't have to be grandiose, it doesn't have to look anything like mine. You get yours figured out. And once you get yours figured out, then when you go and you hire and you start looking for the character, the chemistry, the competency, and the calling, you'll start to find those people to align in perfectly with what you've got.
yeah, that's really good. Have you ever heard of the jobs to be done framework?
Mm-mm.
It's essentially and I'm gonna butcher the example, but I heard this on another show. It's essentially it was a I think it was a Caribbean cruise or a travel agency, and they were trying to understand like what the biggest value they hold just to inform their marketing. And essentially, they started interviewing their customers, and they realized that the reason a lot of them took action when identifying like some of their past marketing assets or past advertisements was the one that they responded best to, or the commonalities between a lot of them was that they recently had someone who passed away, like that was close to them in the family. And then they tied that with like their highest converting ad, which was like seize the day, like book the trip now. And they realized like they're selling a future vision, like they're selling the time that life doesn't last forever, rather than selling like a luxurious cruise. Kind of goes back to like the sell benefits and not features, which is like product marketing 101. But I think it's knowing what the true value is that you really hold and making that more prominent and communicating that throughout the rest of the team too, so that they're aware of that. I think a lot of times, especially looking at some of my own mistakes, is that you don't give them enough credit for you don't give the team enough credit for the capabilities that they have to just understand the business. And when you can level with them, sometimes you moderate what you share and you moderate what bogs them down. Like you have to describe the task clearly and not bog them down with too much context. But a lot of times, I've found that if you can inspire them with like what the value is behind the work, they're a lot more motivated and inspired. It's just a lot more of an enjoyable process to get the work done. And it's more fun. Like I don't take myself too seriously. And I can even tell just in a few interviews, like it's very important to me. Like I can tell if they're joking, if they have some kind of candor. Always try and throw out a few jokes. And I can tell pretty quickly if it's not reflected or if it's something that they resonate with. Um, when it comes to because when it comes to hiring, delegating, growing, and scaling, how much do you communicate with the team, or do you recommend your clients communicate in terms of the business itself and some of the internals? I think there's a line to be drawn there in terms of what bogs them down or is not their responsibility versus what inspires them. So where would you kind of draw that line if you could?
Open book. I want them to think like owners, and not employees. Bad things grow in the dark. And so our
Hmm,
team has access to everything. Um, the Now they may not have the username and password to our bank. Obviously, we have security steps in place for things, and
mhm,
we have some confidentiality things we have to be careful with clients. Um, some of our clients, we have to comply with HIPAA regulations and things like that. So
mhm,
there are legal boundaries we have to monitor, and there is safeguarding. But as far as the business operations, so after uh, in our program, after people complete the first 90-day accelerator, where we in those 90 days we build their systems and we get their first person hired. Then for the next 9 months, they go into our mastermind, and I'm actually meeting with that group as soon as you and I are done. And
mhm,
one of the things that I do once a month with that group is I do a development session. And so these are development sessions that I do with my team. And I give you the slides and the handouts. And then, because a lot of people have never experienced these things, and so they don't know them, or they don't have the time to read the books and
mhm,
do the stuff and all the stuff. And so these are development things that I do with my team. I do it with the mastermind. You can then take that and turn around and do it with your team, even if you have one person.
mhm,
A lot of people think that to develop their team means to upskill them in their area of expertise, or
mhm,
their area of authority. That's training. So I'm constantly
mhm,
training my team. My team is regularly, uh, like, lately, we've been doing a lot of internal training with the team on AI, schema markup, a lot of schema markup, structured data kind of stuff, things
mhm,
like that. Um, so that's training. But once a month, we have an all staff where I work on developing the staff. And so one month I'll talk about having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, and what does that look like? And one month I'll share completely, this is exactly how we make money. Here's what costs us money. Here's where we have margin. Here's what allows for profit. Here's what we do with the profit. Here's how it impacts you. Here, like, I want them to see all of that. And so,
mhm,
I'll do that, one month, and then the next month we'll do another soft skills kind of
mhm,
training, you know, to try to help increase their. So training is all about the knowledge, and leveraging the IQ side of their personality. But emotional intelligence, the EQ side, is what we do in developing our team. And that's why I've got
hmm,
teams. The first guy I ever hired, I hired him 2 hours a week. 6 years later, and he's our director of web services. And, um, he is so committed to us as a company, uh,
mhm,
that he changed his name, legally changed the spelling of his name, and pronunciation, because he's from Bulgaria, and his name was Petar, Pitar, and it just was confusing clients. So he changed it legally to Peter. And now, and I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, when you've got employees legally changing their name so that
mhm,
it helps them interact with your client, that is somebody that has bought into the vision. Um,
mhm.
and he will be here with us for a long, long time. And that's
Yeah.
what I want. That's what I want.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Man, so many things from what you just said. I think this is more current events, and it's not something that we'll spend a ton of time on. But I see, especially with AI, I feel like people view themselves like as way more capable, or like I can do everything now than it is actually true. I used to think that I used to have a vision of wanting to be a million person $1 or million dollar one person business, and I just I mean, I enjoy my life more. It's a feeling of being along with someone along the journey is just, and having other people, we feel like you're making a bigger impact right out the gate. But I think a lot of other founders or solo marketers or other people who are um, on the consulting side that want to stay lean, they view AI as like a catch all to like, I can do everything now. And it usually leads nowhere. Like, um, and additionally, I think a lot of people, they don't empower their team to use AI enough to them speed up their process. And instead, they'll give them, like, for example, like the schema JSON example. We do some of that too. Is they'll just make it. They're like, okay, this is not my job anymore, and I have this hourly employee who can help me do it and do the manual work and go through the spreadsheets and parse all the data and do everything on their own. Whereas if you were to record like a 5 minute SOP and say like, hey, here's a chat GPT prompt you can use to help you with some of this, that would then save your time, save their time, which is saving your own money. I don't think people think like two steps ahead like that. I think they view like all their AI tricks as their own. Another thing that you said there too that I wanted to touch on was just the idea of like trust and how time plays into just the commitment that you have in investing in each other as a company and sharing wins and losses. The first developer I started working with was about it's like the beginning of last year, so like 8 months ago. Um, very like I can even see it now, like very close. And it makes work way more enjoyable because the gap between the gap between having no one and having one person is huge. Like that's a night and day difference in the way that you view your business, the way that you show up every day.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think a lot of people give themselves the credit. And a lot of people, I think, also view, perhaps not to speak for anyone, but they view it as a task to be done and not like a relationship to develop. Um, like for example, there will be times where we'll have a project that is very, it's like a very custom edge case solution, and I'm not sure if that they can do it. And there's probably some other person that I could find or some way I could figure it out myself. And I want I'll use his name to have a win and figure it out for himself, and also encourage him to communicate on his end. Um, what I would love to hear from you is like, what is the first, maybe not like an onboarding, 'cause I think we talked about that a little bit already, but what can you do to create like a really good first impression and continue to invest in the relationship with team members to ensure it's a positive relationship? What are some of the actions that I can like dial it down to make sure that that me or the listeners are doing?
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, we'll it really starts in, the interviewing, process, the job application process. I mean, that's where you really set the tone.
Hey, real quick, this episode is brought to us by our friends at Cohatch. I have a quick story to tell you. A while back, I realized I was recreating this bizarre little cave at home where I ate, slept, worked out, all within the same 300 square feet. I was getting distracted by everything: pets, YouTube, laundry, food. Okay, I'm joking a little bit on the food one, but the refrigerator was right there, so not really. If you're a founder, a marketer, or a solopreneur, your revenue is directly tied to your effectiveness on the job and your output. You don't notice how much of a role a bad environment plays in your productivity until it starts to sink, and your revenue follows slowly behind it. I had come across Cohash at a ton of networking and community events as I was right here in Columbus, Ohio, building my business. When I finally invested in a membership, that is when things flipped for me. My ideas felt bigger again. I felt like I was showing up for other people. I felt cleaner, sharper, and honestly, just happier. When you're making a bigger impact in your business, your clients are happier, and your perceived happiness with your own existence, your own business, skyrockets. The best part is that the only distractions at Cohatch are other high performing people. And that is the good kind of distractions, the kind that leads to partnerships, conversations, and new ideas that propel you forward. If my little environment of doom pattern sounds familiar to you, Cohatch might be the exact shift that you need in your business and your life. They've actually been generous enough to offer you, as a Marketing by Design podcast listener, 2 full free weeks. I would have killed for this when I first started, guys, but they're giving it to you 100% for free. That is why I love Cohatch. That is why I'm a huge advocate of everything they are. They're not giving this deal out anywhere else, so I highly encourage you to head down to the description, grab that for yourself, and back to the pod.
Your position description just needs to very clearly state, this is the kind of company we are. This is what we're trying to accomplish. We're looking for people who want to be a part of this. And then in the very first interview, hey, this is our vision, our mission. These are our core values. And we're looking for people that want to be a part of this. And then just to be radically honest during the interviews. We interview more than once. Everybody goes through multiple interviews to get on the team with different people. And in the very first interview, I just tell people, hey, listen, we are a complete train wreck in this area. Like it is that we don't have any SOPs. In fact, your first 3 months is going to be creating SOPs. You're going to get a lot of Loom videos, and you're going to have to watch them and then follow it and document it and then create checklists. Like there's a lot of that. And you're going to ask me questions and I'm going to go, I don't know. We've never done this before, and we're just, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. So if you're looking for a company that you want to join that has everything together, you're not going to want to take this job because you're going to get really, really frustrated. But if you're willing to be a part of something and help make it better, so 3-6 months down the road, it's organized and like, oh, okay, here we go. Then you're fine. And if you want a boss that knows everything, you definitely don't want to work for me. If you're comfortable working for an idiot, let's do this. And I'm just very, I have fun with it like you to see how they react to that. So it's a bit tongue in cheek, but I'm also, and then I tell them, like, I'm really serious, I've never logged into Google Ads. I'm hiring you to be on the team to run Google Ads. I can't answer one question for you. Okay. And so you just have to be comfortable with that. And then all of our team, we teach people how to do it as well. In the accelerator, all of my team onboards themselves. My new executive assistant, her very first 2 days on the job, my family and I were on a train, traveling across England. And on the second day, we were in Spain at an airport for 5 hours on a layover waiting for our flight. And my executive, the very first 2 days, she was going through her self-onboarding guide. She was onboarding herself. And then she started getting videos from other people on the team welcoming them. So anytime somebody joins, because we're an asynchronous team. And so, everybody on the team creates a quick video, 2 minutes, welcoming them, a little bit about what they do. If you ever have questions about something like this, let me know. And so and then we use Hive as our project management and team communication platform. Like everything happens in Hive and I love it. The one thing that's not in Hive is our virtual break room. And so we have a WhatsApp virtual break room, and once a week I post a question in there. And like we got to Ohio to my parents' house last week, and there's 14 inches of snow on the ground. And so I, took a picture and I put it in the virtual break room, and I was just like, "What's the weather like where you're at this week?" And my team's from all around the world, and from all distances up from the equator. And so everybody starts posting these pictures, and then people start, "Oh my gosh, what is that in the distance?" And we didn't realize her office was like in her apartment way up in this like skyscraper apartment. Her view was stunning. None of us knew this, and now we're all like, "That's your view every day from your," like, "Oh, we're so," and so it's that kind of stuff. But it's just asking those questions, getting the team together monthly on Zoom. Which means sometimes it might be 11 o'clock at night, but we all the way back to the job description and interviews, we tell people that, like we say, hey, listen, we're here and I'm the business owner and I'm a digital nomad. And so part of working for us means that the company's official time changes when my time changes. So
Mhm.
for 3 months, we may meet at 8 o'clock in the morning for you, but then 3 months later, I'm going to move and it might be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Um,
Mhm.
but that's just part of it. But I also get to decide that because I'm the business owner, right? Now I'm not a jerk about it, and I make accommodations, as a like my executive assistant, Emily, and her and I meet every morning, generally had been at 9 a.m. But it was just a little easier for her. Not as easy for me to move it to 8 o'clock while we're in the States, 8 a.m., but it's an hour. It's not, okay.
Mhm.
So you balance that, but I would rather do that and have flexibility on the other side versus trying to versus hiring somebody and then hitting them with the news like, oh, now you need to be awake at 6 o'clock in the morning for our meeting. Um,
Mhm.
I don't like a bait and switch like that. Um,
Right.
so just onboarding people well, having people welcome them, multiple interviews, but then how I've never had a job. You were asking me earlier about my first
Mhm.
jobs. I'd never ever worked anywhere where we had a employee break room. Um, and so I was kind of like, I don't even know what's in an employee. So I asked, I posted a question one
Mhm.
time on LinkedIn and I was like, what's in your employee break room? I have no idea. Well, one of the things that was very common, besides like uh posters and announcements and things like that, okay, but was a coffee maker. Makes sense, coffee.
Mhm.
So from time to time, I'll go in and I'll create. I've got Starbucks gift cards now for different regions because a Starbucks gift card you buy in America won't work at Starbucks in India,
Mhm.
because they're
Yep.
different regions. So I've got yeah, I can change the location. As a digital nomad, you learn all of this. So, but anyway, I've now got Starbucks gift cards for the different regions, and I'll preload that card and then put the barcode in the virtual break room, and it's labeled for the area that those staff are in, and so they can go to us and everybody on my team, India, El Salvador, Bulgaria, uh, Nairobi, like everybody on my team has a Starbucks near them. It's crazy. So
Hmm.
they can go in and scan that barcode and get, coffee. And so just that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. That's got some ideas brewing in my head in terms of, having small touch points like that that would make people really, value the work and enjoy their time with you. I think one of the biggest things that I took
And
away is kind of your
let
go
me
ahead.
can I
Go ahead.
I'm gonna interrupt just a second. This is a great
Mhm.
place to use AI. Go into AI, tell it, hey, I need 52 you know, team building, questions to help, an asynchronous remote team across different cultures. Just explain what you want to do. And I've done that and then go through and edit it. And I have it on my phone as a note. And then on Nosby, which is my to-do list, once a week on Tuesday, I have a recurring task that pops up because I could have I could have my executive assistant do it, but I still like it coming from me,
Mhm.
and initiating it. And so
Yeah.
on Tuesdays I have a recurring task that pops up, post a question in the virtual break room. All right. So I go in, I just go to the next one on the list, I copy it, I switch over to WhatsApp, I paste it. It takes me, 15 seconds. And then the team takes it from there and we have a conversation. And then the team takes over. Yesterday, one of our guys posted a picture of him and his wife. And he's like, we're celebrating our third wedding anniversary today. Um, you don't get that on a remote team if you're not intentional to
Mhm.
build that culture.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. Yeah. It's one of the things I took away there is too is your like your candor, like that's one thing that I'm huge on is like, and I've had a couple people even call me out on it, is there's sometimes it's being, I mean, you mentioned the like jokingly saying like, hey, if you want someone who has all their stuff figured out, this you're not in the right place. Like that is exactly how I am. Like I speak in jest to myself a lot. And I think it's really good, especially for someone who might be nervous in an interview or just meeting someone for the first time. There's always some anxieties, but I think a really positive social signal is when someone meets you for the first time and it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of be myself a little bit. Um, I mean, that's, and all the really good working relationships I've had. I mean, it does nothing but positive things to just say, like, hey, you're going to be teaching me a little bit through this here. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm getting into. That's why, I mean, that's why you're here. I need you to help me with this and, teach me on the job a little bit. But I can promise you that you're going to be encouraged every step of the way. And we're going to have fun figuring it out
Yeah.
together.
Now,
Um, yeah, I love that
what
myself.
really freaks people out here is um they'll go, well, how can I supervise somebody if I don't know like, how do I know that they're doing it right? Okay. Well, one is outcomes. Like, are they getting the outcomes? But for example, the Google ads. Okay. So we
Hmm.
we were needing to hire a new person to help set up all the Google Tag Manager, really easy to screw up, and yeah,
Yes.
and so
It's a pain in the
yeah, it's
ass.
super,
Yeah.
super big pain. And so since we don't do it for every client, I don't need somebody on my team for my like I don't need Peter or like I don't need one of my designers or developers, or digital marketing consultants. Like I don't need them to know how to do this. So what we do in situations like this is we always have a couple of freelancers that we can go to and say, okay, we've got this and stuff like that. So they're part of the team, but they're not on the team. So they're not like in the virtual break room and stuff like that because we consider this a gap hire. These are people that we're
Uh-huh.
hiring to fill a gap of our skills, a gap in time, whatever. But so we have some freelancers. So we'll go to the freelancer, we'll bring the freelancer onto it. But then what I also do is I'll go into so I hire almost all of our team through Upwork. Um, I'll go into Upwork and I'll find somebody that is maybe 80, 90, $120 an hour, high level experience and stuff like that. And I'll offer to hire them for 4 hours as a consultant. And
Huh.
then I'll go find somebody, a freelancer, 6, 8, 9, $10 an hour to do the work. Okay. And so I'll
Huh.
hire them to do the work. And it can be hours and hours and hours, especially the bigger the site. I mean, oh my gosh, it can be a nightmare. And then, so we have them create with the spreadsheet system, they have to create with all the details. And then we'll just send it to the consultant. And we'll say, here's what they've done. And then yes, or like, oh no, they're missing this and oh, this is gonna trigger 2 conversions to the same thing. Oh, okay. And so then we go to the freelancer because I don't know. So I'll hire somebody with the expertise to be a consultant for a couple hours and then go hire a technician to do the execution. Um, and until maybe over time we'll eventually learn enough that we can get rid of we can not hire the consultant type. But then again, I'm fine if we do. It's baked into it's baked into we've already calculated into the price of services. So yeah.
Hmm.
So that's one way to help people
Yeah,
that
that's
are
really cool.
scared of that to overcome that. There's no such things as problems, only solutions. And the key, Andy, is this for everybody. Your The capacity of your business is your leadership capacity. That's it. If your business is stuck and it's been stuck for 6 months, it's not the economy. It's not, inflation stuff. It's not your lead generation system. It's not your sales. It's not anything you're saying. It's your leadership. You haven't led through your company through that growth barrier. Grow as a leader and your company grows every single time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. I wholeheartedly agree, Eric. Like the if the power follows the finger of blame, and not always blame, but just the responsibility that you take on yourself to put the vision forward and like really communicate, what you're doing. Um, I've learned a lot today, and like I said, highly encourage all the marketers of the audience to go and learn from you and follow you on LinkedIn. Very active there. Where else can people go if they want to learn the things that you're up to and get in touch with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best for that. If people are considering hiring, I've got a first hire guide. If they then just go to ericdingler.com/first hire, and they'll get a first hire guide that help with that. But also, I'd like to just Eric Dingler is the best. ericdingler.com is the best. I offer complimentary coaching calls there. The first hire guide, link to my LinkedIn. So however somebody wants to move forward, just go to ericdingler.com.